I found out my birth mother was my office cleaner after 20 years of thinking she was dead, and the truth about my adoption is destroying me. Throwaway because this is literally insane and I can't have this connected to my real account. I'm 23F and I honestly don't even know where to start with this nightmare that's become my life. I've been staring at this screen for hours trying to figure out how to even begin explaining what happened to me. I guess I should start with the basics. I'm adopted. Was adopted when I was 3 years old by a woman named Stella Williams. She told me my birth mother died and my father died in some kind of accident. Stella gave me everything, education, opportunities. I'm literally the CEO of her company now. Sounds like a fairy tale, right? Rich adoptive mom saves poor orphan and gives her the world? Yeah, well, turns out my entire fucking life has been built on lies. So here's how this all started. A few months ago, I started working really late at the office. That's when I met Clara, one of the night shift cleaners. She was probably mid-40s, really quiet, always did amazing work. But there was something about her that I can't explain, like, she made me feel safe in a way I'd never experienced before. We started talking during her cleaning rounds. Just small stuff at first, how was your day, weather's nice, that kind of thing. But Clara had this wisdom about her, this kindness that was just different. She'd notice when I looked stressed and bring me tea. She'd ask if I was eating enough, staying warm, all these little caring things that honestly nobody had ever done for me before. This is going to sound weird, but talking to Clara became the best part of my day. I started staying later just so we could chat more. She told me she'd lost her daughter many years ago and you could see it still destroyed her inside. She never gave details, just said she'd made a terrible mistake that she regretted every day. My heart broke for this woman because the pain in her eyes was so real. Now here's the thing, I've always felt like something was missing in my life. Stella raised me, sure, but it always felt conditional? Like I had to earn her love by being successful, grateful, perfect. There was no warmth there, no real connection. But with Clara, it felt natural, like talking to family. Over the months, Clara and I got really close. She worried about me working too late, I worried about her walking to the bus stop alone at night. I started bringing her little gifts, a plant for brightening up the office, sometimes coffee or snacks. She'd tear up every time, saying nobody had ever given her gifts just to be kind. That's when I started wondering, how had this amazing, caring woman never experienced simple kindness? How had someone so wonderful ended up working night shifts cleaning offices? Well, Stella noticed our friendship and lost her shit. She started demanding I fire Clara, saying it was inappropriate for a CEO to be friends with cleaning staff. I told her absolutely not, Clara was one of the best people I'd ever met and I wasn't going to punish her for being kind to me. This escalated into huge fights. Stella kept insisting Clara was dangerous and that I didn't know her background. I defended Clara every time because honestly, this woman couldn't hurt a fly. She was gentle, caring, and had clearly been through enough pain already. The fights got so bad that I eventually told Stella if she didn't trust my judgment, maybe she should find someone else to run the company. I'd never stood up to her like that before, but Clara was making me stronger, more independent. Last night everything changed. I'd forgotten my keys at the office and went back to get them around 10 p.m. As I was walking through the parking garage, I heard voices echoing. Someone was having an argument. I recognized one voice as Stella's and got curious about who she was talking to so late. I moved closer and hid behind a car so I could listen. What I heard made my blood turn to ice. Stella was threatening someone, telling them to quit their job and leave the city immediately. The other voice was crying, begging to just be allowed to work. Then Stella said something about sending this person to prison again, like she had done 20 years ago when they tried to steal my daughter. That's when the crying voice said, I never sold her. I thought I was giving her a better life. I thought you would love her and take care of her. Reddit, I'm not exaggerating when I say my world completely stopped spinning. I realized they were talking about me. The crying voice was Clara. Clara was my birth mother. I kept listening, frozen in shock, as more details came out. When I was 3, my father David had died in a factory accident. Clara was 25, alone, and couldn't afford to feed me or keep us housed. She was facing eviction, I was literally going hungry, and she was desperate. That's when Stella approached her. Stella promised to give me everything Clara couldn't, food, education, opportunities, a good life. Clara thought she was making the ultimate sacrifice for her daughter's well-being. But here's where it gets absolutely fucked up. When Clara realized she'd made a mistake and tried to get me back, Stella had her arrested for stalking and harassment. Stella used her money and connections to send my birth mother to prison for 20 years. 20 fucking years, Reddit. All because Clara dared to want her own child back. Clara spent 2 decades behind bars while I grew up thinking she was dead. When she got out, she couldn't find work anywhere because of her record. She finally landed this cleaning job, ironically at the company owned by the woman who had destroyed her life. Neither of us knew who the other was, but we felt that connection anyway. For months, we'd been healing each other's broken hearts without even understanding why. I couldn't hide anymore. I stepped out from behind the car and asked them if it was true. Both women looked like they'd seen a ghost. Stella immediately started trying to gaslight me, saying Clara was disturbed and had been in prison, trying to make me think she was dangerous or crazy. But I looked directly at Clara and asked her straight up, "Are you my mother?" Clara looked into my eyes, the same eyes I now realized I'd inherited from her, and whispered, "Yes. I am your mother." The conversation that followed destroyed me. Clara told me that not a single day went by in those 20 years that she didn't think about me. She wondered if I was happy, healthy, if I ever thought about her. And the thing is, I did think about her. I used to dream about my birth mother, wondering if she had loved me or if she just didn't want me. When Clara said she loved me more than her own life and that giving me away was like tearing her heart out, I completely broke down. I stepped forward and for the first time in 20 years, I called someone Mama. We held each other and sobbed while Stella stood there panicking. She kept trying to interrupt, reminding me of all the things she'd given me: education, success, opportunities. But I told her the truth: she'd given me comfort and success, but she'd also stolen my life. She'd lied to me, punished the woman who gave me life, and called it love. I told Stella she didn't get to control me anymore and that she needed to leave. For the first time in my life, I saw her look small and defeated. She walked away and disappeared into the darkness. Clara and I talked until sunrise. She told me about the day she gave me away, how she watched Stella drive off with me and ran after the car until she couldn't keep up. She told me about my father, about how he used to promise to bring me candy bars when he came home from work, about how he died on a rainy Tuesday morning and never came home. I told her about growing up feeling like something was always missing, how I never felt truly loved until I started talking to her in the office. We realized that all these months, our hearts had recognized each other even when our minds didn't. The most incredible part? Clara kept apologizing for abandoning me, but she didn't abandon me. She was a 25-year-old widow facing homelessness with a hungry child. She made an impossible choice because she thought it would save my life. She was being the best mother she could be in a situation no parent should ever face. Meanwhile, Stella had let me believe my birth mother was dead while the woman who actually gave me life rotted in prison for 2 decades. All because Stella couldn't bear the thought of her daughter wanting someone else. I've moved Clara in with me permanently. We have 20 years to catch up on and I'm not wasting another day. She's teaching me to cook. Turns out I'm terrible at it despite having every advantage, sharing stories about my father that nobody else could tell me, and showing me what unconditional love actually feels like. I've also hired lawyers to see if there's any way to get justice for what Stella did. Even if criminal charges are off the table due to time limits, there might be civil remedies available. Clara deserves some kind of compensation for having her life stolen from her. As for Stella, I've cut her off completely. Blocked on everything, lawyers have made it clear that any contact will be considered harassment. She hasn't tried to reach out anyway. I think she knows she's lost everything and there's nothing left to say. The crazy thing is how everything makes sense now. Why I always felt disconnected from Stella despite her giving me everything. Why I felt so drawn to Clara from day one. Why our conversations felt like coming home. Why she worried about me like a mother and I cared about her well-being like a daughter. Our bond was never truly broken, it was just buried under 20 years of lies and trauma. Some people might say Clara should have fought harder or never given me up in the first place. But those people have never faced the choice between watching their child starve or giving them a chance at survival. Clara was 25, widowed, penniless, and facing homelessness. She made the most loving choice available to her, and she spent 20 years paying for it. Stella, on the other hand, had every advantage: money, power, connections. She could have been a good adoptive mother while still allowing Clara to be part of my life in some way. Instead, she chose cruelty and control. She treated me like a possession she owned rather than a child she was privileged to raise. I keep thinking about all the nights Clara sat in that prison cell wondering if I was okay, if I remembered her, if I knew she loved me. All the birthdays and holidays she missed. All the scraped knees she couldn't kiss better, all the bad dreams she couldn't comfort me through. But I also think about these past few months, watching her face light up when I'd bring her small gifts or ask about her day. How she'd make me tea when I was stressed or worry when I worked too late. How natural it felt to take care of each other. Maybe the universe has a weird sense of justice after all. Clara and I found each other again in the most ordinary place, a corporate office at night, and we rebuilt our connection without even knowing that's what we were doing. To anyone who's adopted and wondering about their birth parents, I'm not saying everyone should go looking, and most situations aren't this extreme. But trust your instincts. If someone makes you feel inexplicably safe and loved, there might be a reason for that. And if the people who raised you get weird about you asking questions, that might be a red flag worth paying attention to. Clara's seeing a therapist now to help process the trauma of losing 20 years of her life. I'm in therapy too, trying to work through the mindfuck of learning my entire origin story was a lie. But we're healing together, and for the first time in my life, I feel complete. We're not just mother and daughter, we're survivors of the same crime. And we're finally home. TLDR, the night cleaner I befriended at work turned out to be my birth mother, who I was told died when I was 3. My adoptive mother had her sent to prison for 20 years when she tried to get me back, then lied to me about everything. We found each other again without knowing who we were, rebuilt our bond, and now we're finally reunited. Edit, holy shit, this blew up while I was sleeping. Thank you all for the support, the awards, and sharing your own stories. I'm trying to read through everything but there are thousands of comments. Edit 2, to everyone asking for proof, I get it, this sounds like a movie plot. But I'm not posting personal documents or photos that could identify us. Clara has been through enough trauma without internet strangers dissecting her life. Edit 3, stop asking for our location, real names, or Clara's personal details. Also stop demanding me asking if we're going to write a book or sell movie rights. We're focused on healing, not monetizing our trauma. Edit 4, for people saying Clara should have fought harder, she was 25, widowed, facing eviction, and I was literally going hungry. She made the most loving choice available to her in an impossible situation. Don't victim blame someone who already lost 20 years of her life. Edit 5, yes, we're pursuing legal action. No, I can't discuss details publicly while it's ongoing. Yes, Clara deserves justice. No, it won't bring back the decades we lost, but it might prevent Stella from doing this to other families. Update post will come later, the legal stuff is moving forward and there have been some developments I can't talk about yet. Clara is doing better every day. We planted a garden together yesterday and she told me it's the first time in 20 years she's felt hopeful about the future. That's all that matters to me right now. Thank you again for all the love and support. It means everything to both of us.